All right, Coast to Coast Combat Hour coming at you live late this week on a Friday. Normally it's myself with Matthew Hawkins, but Matt is displaced at the moment. So this week helping me out is Shamir Peshewa. I hope I got that right.
You actually did. Appreciate it is.
2-0 pro MMA fighter, entrepreneur, hustler, extraordinaire. I know you got a lot of projects going on, which is one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the show initially as a guest, but now you're helping me co-host, looking at the fight this weekend and talking about your own fight history. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. I know we're catching you just after coming home from working, and you're in one of the states that are allowed to have gyms opening up and people working out again. So I know when we started talking initially, my personal interest is just that you obviously, I saw you have all the precautions and stuff set up. So can you just talk about the experience and how it's been? I know it's probably not easy.
It wasn't easy. So we have a pretty tight-knit community. I run a private small group training facility. That's the best way to describe it. I'm a functional strength trainer. I focus on making everyday people athletic or athletic people better. I focus on how well you can control your body at any position. A lot of people don't think about sports and your jiu-jitsu and MMA, and I do. So I think about if I could be in all those positions and be okay and be able to use my body in an efficient way, I can teach other people how to do that too. They'll never fight, but I make people do a lot of wrestling drills and they have no idea that they're doing wrestling drills. It's just good movement.
Yeah.
So if you get people to move well, they usually can perform well, no matter what age they are, no matter what size they are. And I am a firm believer that you can be healthy at any size. As long as you're healthy inside and outside, mentally, physically, you're doing pretty good. So we have a group of people that is growing every day who agree to live by those rules, right? They're like, yes, I want to be better every day. I want to better myself. I want to better a community. I want to lose weight or gain weight or fight in the, I have athletes that I train. I don't train people in MMA, but I have people who I train fitness-wise who do MMA. So I have those people who are like, these are my goals. So the goals range, but if you're able to bring personal training into small groups, I've found it works a lot better than one-on-one because they actually kind of make their own connections. Like they become like the people you work out with at 4:00 every day are probably the people you're going to work out with at 4:00 every day. There's new people all the time, but it kind of grows like that. So you have a community of people who are also trying to lose weight or gain weight or whatever goal it is. We've had really good success having that kind of like culture because everyone thrives. You've got like a 65-year-old lady who's doing her rehab and you have like a 25-year-old athlete in the same room. Usually that doesn't happen. And I found that it helps them. It drives people. It helps people be around that type of energy. So I know it sounds kind of like way more than a gym, but it's totally way more than a gym. And it's called Marvel My Fitness.
Yeah.
I think that everyone should be their own superhero. I'm a huge nerd. If you follow me at all, I'm actually a nerd. So I don't believe that you should want to be a superhero. Like that doesn't make sense to me. You're not. You can't change. So why not be the best you? Like why not make yourself look like that? Like, 'cause you can. And if I don't know how to do it, I bet I know somebody who does. Like some people I don't even end up training because they come to me and their goals are so much different. And I'm like, that's not for me, but I know somebody who might can help you. And at least like I can help them kind of like not be afraid to journey into fitness or to like ask questions. Like we don't judge people. Like we're very open as a community. And if you come in and you're like, I'm having a bad day, then you get to have a bad day and nobody messes with you. If you come in and you're like, I'm super hyper, then you get to be super hyper because that's how you are existing. So it's kind of deep, but
that's I like it though. It actually makes a lot of sense. I've read a lot of James L. Tutcher, kind of self-help, but kind of like hustling business and but the ultimate message that he in a lot of his books has is that being being a good person and helping other people be the best versions of themselves is kind of the best pathway to success. So a lot of what you just said resonated with me, just because like that's something I only started believing in and learning like maybe in 6 years ago.
Same.
Yeah.
It's been a new experience for me. There's no going back though. I don't know who you were mentioning, but I'd love to read his stuff because he sounds like he's kind of on the same wavelength. I believe that 100%. Better people make better things.
Yeah.
You know? The only reason that people aren't better is because someone's made them believe that they're not. In my opinion.
No,
So,
you're right, and it's one of the things he actually says is like he gives a scenario of like and he has his own podcast too, and one of the times when he was talking to, I forget who the guest was, but he said it. Again, his name's James Altucher. He's got a series of books called Choose Yourself is the name of the series, but
it sounds awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, he's a little quirky, but I actually if you look at him and you hear him, you're like, of all places where I found him was on Ice-T's podcast, but Ice-T brought him on for the same reason, because it's like, Ice-T has this philosophy. He's like, he was like, you're not gonna get ahead doing dirt and stepping over people, but if you're good to people and you help them, that's where true success lies. And he got it from listening to his stuff, so that's why he brought him on his own podcast, the Final Level podcast. And again, this was when I forget the name of the book, because he's written like several other books since then, and that I've kept up with his stuff because of it. But I see a lot of that in the stuff that you do. And just for folks that watch the YouTube version of this, Shamir's Linktree link will be in the description of this, and it'll also be on the audio when I publish the audio stuff. So if folks want to follow, because you do a lot, like it's not just fighting in the gym. I mean, I know you put out. I mean, since I've been following you, I think I followed you from your last fight is when I kind of started following you on social and seeing. And you actually you and I wrote for the same place. I still write for My MMA News, but I know you wrote some stuff there. And I mean, like my Linktree has like 6 things on it. Yours is like a long list of all these things. Like you put out a calendar. I know you're a Twitch streamer, the gym, fighting. I mean, what else am I missing?
I'm a social media consultant. I guess we can throw that in there.
Mm-hmm.
I fell into planning events privately and publicly. It was kind of a weird progression, but it kind of fell in my lap. And then I discovered I was kind of good at it. I have a girl, one of my best friends named Monica, and we just dream up these crazy parties for people, and people just go nuts. And since it's a private venue, so I double the gym as an event venue.
Nice.
And it's all black, concrete warehouse, like warehouse meets modern.
Mm-hmm.
Clean and nasty kind of at the same time, like that balance. And people, when we designed it, my business partner, Lindsay Saha, she is completely different than me in a lot of ways, but then the same wavelength and a lot of others, like way more others. But she was like the modern kind of glam part of it. And I'm like this gritty person. And she's like, we can make this happen. Because when we saw the warehouse, she was like, oh man. And my friend Krista Conley, she helps us with so many things. And she does events and sells real estate and stuff. So between the 4 of us, really, we had so much fun decorating and like just planning it. And it was kind of wild because people started being like, well, can I rent it? And we were like, what? And they're like, can I shoot photos there? Can I do videos there? So we actually have a full studio, full audio. We have a podcast room. I don't think there's anything like it in Knoxville, besides maybe HPV Video, which is not the greatest name, but it's been there for a really long time. Great, right?
Yeah.
So they're awesome, and they have like a legit film studio.
Nice.
I kind of have used what I've learned acting and doing extra stuff in Atlanta and just kind of hanging around acting areas to redesign the area. So we have these dividers that we change, and we like change the room around, and it's really we've had a bounce house in there. Like we've done all sorts of stuff that's been really cool, and it's all private. So people actually can come in and have these memories with their family, and I'm not rushing you out the door because you have like a 2-hour time limit because it's $500. So we're able to provide people like privacy, affordability, especially in Knoxville. The event venues are very nice, but they're extremely expensive. So, because they have way more money put into it. We just have a warehouse that other people think is cool. So
hey,
come on.
Yeah. I mean, that's great that you're able to do that, especially now, like you said, a lot of people probably want more private things, so that's probably better for you as the country starts opening up and coming back. But one of the things I wanted to ask you was, I mean, because a lot of this, it looks like a lot of your endeavors are based. I don't want to say maybe they didn't jump off from your entry into combat sports, but would you say that? Because I know you did the what do they call it? The roller skate fighting.
Roller derby.
Yeah, roller derby. I know you put some pictures of that. So, what's that?
Hockey on skates.
Hockey on skates.
There's not a puck. There's usually a human. There's always a human, but they're usually tiny, and you kind of just ricochet them in there, and they're really agile. And then you have really big ones, or people who are really strong who can like push all 5 people and get out. If you like combat sports, you might want to watch roller derby. I got hurt way more in roller derby. Roller derby is way more brutal than MMA. You guys watching MMA would love some super competitive roller derby. It would be a difference if you watch like a B team or like a team very good, but you watch some competitive roller derby and you'll like it if you like combat sports.
I feel like I used to watch it. Like it used to be on TV regularly when I was a kid. I know I'm older than you, but like, I remember it being on, and then it kind of went away. But I do know, like, I'm in New Jersey, so there is a league out here. When I go out to I go to a lot of because I'm a bit of a geek when it comes to certain things, like with horror films. I go to horror conventions. I used to go to comic book stuff, whatever. But there's a league that's always at them, and I've spoken to a couple of
overlap of demographic between like horror and like punk and like kind of like this alternative lifestyle and roller derby. So the roller derby you watched was scripted. You would know on turn 4 in the corner I was going to hit you and you would pop your blood pack, right? Like most of it was scripted. Now they really were rough, you know what I'm saying? Like,
oh wow, I didn't know that.
But it was scripted. So what they did in the revival, and this is super important for people who like combat sports, is turn it into like hockey with roller skates, with quad skates. So there's women going 10, 15 miles an hour, like fucking flying, getting hit by people 3 times their size. They fly. I've been launched into crowds, like into stadium seats. Like concrete doesn't forgive you. Steel doesn't forgive you. Like none of those. I broke my thumb. Right before my 3rd fight, I broke my thumb at the skate park, and we wrapped my hand. Swear, we wrapped my hand like so much, and they signed off on the gloves when we put them on, and we were like, and the girl was like, "Yeah, she didn't hit very hard." I'm like, "No."
Wow. So, so it looked like you. So I was under the impression that the roller derby was your pathway into fighting, but from what you just said, you were doing both around the same time then, right?
Actually, this is how insane I actually am. The first year that I fought ever, not professionally, amateur, but in a ring, not like the other stuff, but like in a cage. The first year I played 18 roller derby bouts, fought 5 times, did 13 or so jiu-jitsu tournaments.
Wow.
And completely like exhausted myself that entire year. And I didn't do that again. I retired from roller derby. I got smarter, and I changed my diet, and I started to put on more muscle. I was an endurance athlete, right? 50-mile trail runs. Like I'd call people because my hamstrings would give out and I couldn't run anymore.
Wow.
Fucking come get me. Or I'd skate too far. I'd be like, please come get me. I'm on the side of the road in fucking Oak Ridge, and I ran from Western Avenue. Like some come get me, and people would. But I just loved the endurance of it. I loved just going, just being gone. And people would be like, "Oh, Forrest Gump shit." I'm like, "Yeah, right." Like just go. It was a nice thing, and then I found roller derby, and it's 2-minute sprints. It can be up to 2 minutes for an hour. There's 2 30-minute periods. I don't know many people who are better endurance athletes, Olympic skaters, Olympic swimmers, but the women women and men, and transgender athletes, all people of roller derby take it so seriously at the top. It's fun to watch those people compete. It's like watching good football. It's like, it's like fucking tackle it.
I think anything that's fast paced or that has a fluid pace, like just like fighting or anything like that, is more entertaining. Like I mean, Matt, the guy again, Matt that normally co-hosts this podcast with me, he's always getting on me because as soon as he starts talking about baseball or something, I'm like, shut up, I don't want to, like, that's boring to me. Like, I like going to ballparks because I'm outside and it's nice, but I mean, I'd probably get hit in the face by a baseball because it's not the pacing that I like. Stuff like that is what I like. That's crazy. See, I just the fact that that's one thing that I'm always amazed with when I speak with pro athletes or anyone that's competed at the level at the professional level that you have, and it's just like we've had a lot of fighters on this podcast, and every time I'm impressed with just that's what separates people like yourself from this, people that when they're watching stuff at home, they're like, oh, he should, why doesn't he just stand up? Or, you know what I mean? It's like, it's different. Yeah. And it's like, it's different. And they're definitely a different type of, your whole way of thinking, like you said, about having people to come pick you up because you didn't know to stop running on your own. You know what I mean? Like that takes a special type of I don't know what the word is, focus, I guess, to want to push yourself that much. I mean, I tried it. I mean, not for nothing. I tried it. I have a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I still train, but I mean, when I start feeling fatigued and stuff, I'm like, oh, it's enough for today. It doesn't look like you have that button in you.
No. It was actually really negative. Some of my fights got back. I'm gonna fucking hit you back. And I'm like, no, just take her down or something. Like, just do something else. Like, don't just stand there like rock'em sock'em robots.
That's crazy.
But that's the difference. I guess that's the difference. Like, I like it. If I don't get fight of the night, I'm disappointed. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want fight of the night. And people are like, oh, I don't want to get fight of the night. I get beat up. I want to get beat up. Like, it's fun for me. Like, if you're not hitting me back, I'm like, are you doing something wrong? Like, I feel bad now. Like, I feel like Ricky Bobby. I'm like, no, I want to fight you. That's the fun of it. That's in roller derby. These chicks would be on the line. They would talk shit to you. They would be like, are you fucking ready? I'm going to hit you as soon as it whistles. Because they blew a whistle and you had to react on the whistle. And they were like, I'm going to fucking hit you. And I would just be like, smiling at them. I'm just laughing. And they're like confused. And I'm like, whack. Even if they could, I would want to see the challenge. I would want to be like, oh, really? Let's see. Let's see if you can. Because I want to know. I want to challenge myself at every level. I want to know, like, that I did it to its fullest. Like, if there's somebody out there doing it better than me, I got into MMA late so I had time to make up. I had a lot of other attributes to bring to the table, but I had a lot of time to make up, in my opinion. So I would be at the gym for hours on end because I was like, okay, who's got something to teach me? Dude sitting over there, that's just sitting around. What's your favorite move? Like, teach me. Like, I don't care what it is. Like, I want to learn everything I can. And if I would have been able to wrestle when I was younger, it'd be on. It'd be so on. I love wrestling. And I can't imagine having like years and years of reps of it. So in my opinion, sometimes I have, like, I'm only a 4-stripe blue belt. A black belt, right? I'm only a 4-stripe blue belt. And I'm like, it's not, I don't care about getting to the black belt because it's going to happen at some point.
Yeah.
Okay, what else do I need to know? Like, what else? And sometimes that's a fault. It's, it's like, I want to know more things. And sometimes I overload myself and I have to be like, no, that's too much. Or like, no, I have big legs. I'm never going to be like a flippy kicker. Right. So I'm like, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
Like, like, no. So it's like some things I think that you just kind of decide I'm going to work around this game and try to like learn what I can learn and just kind of start to see if you can apply it. And that's where it's fun for me. Can I apply it when you know the same things I know? Like, can I apply it when maybe you're better than me? Like I like when people are better than me. I'm like,
yeah, me too.
I'm like, let's go. My
Yeah,
fight
no,
last year.
yeah, no,
She does so much jujitsu. She's been around forever. She was in Invicta. Like, yeah, I want to fight you. And people are like, okay. I'm like, hell yeah, I want to fight you. And she beat me in a grappling match the year, like 8 months before that.
okay.
So that's on YouTube too. And she kind of took my back early on and had a body triangle. She got legs for days. What the fuck you want me to do?
Yeah.
5'6", you what? Maybe 5'10", 5'11". She's tall, but she
Yeah.
has those legs, and she's so good at it. I was like, this is so good. I was like, what else do I have? And I kept going through my things and like trying to see what I had, and I'm like, it was fun for me because I get to be like, all right, what's gonna happen? Like what do you do? Like what happens when you do your favorite thing? Like, does it catch me? Does it do, like I like going back on it and being like, oh, she did this good thing. Like she did that good thing. Cause you can learn a lot from watching both people without having like your own feelings attached to it. And that took a lot of time, meditation, mental work, but it's like, okay, you fucked up there. That's okay. You did great there. That's okay. And just kind of treat them the same. That's a struggle, but I still try to watch them all objectively, and try to be like, okay, let's do this again, because I want to know how I can be better.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the things about martial arts, especially an art like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, mixed martial arts, and you don't want to be so good at something. Progress isn't doesn't come to anyone easy. It comes through like you hear everyone say iron sharpens iron and things like that. So of course you want to fight or even train with the people that are better than you. I mean, one of the weird things that happened to me that I found out, I mean, as I got older and stuff, when I got my black belt in 2017, and then I found that like I started gaining weight and stuff, even though I was training like 3-4 times a week, and I'm like, why am I gaining weight? And when I talked to my instructor, he's like, yeah, because the movements are simple to you now, like you're used to them, so you're not working as hard. So I started going with like the more competitive, like purple belts and stuff, and they would catch me with their fancy leg locks and all the new stuff that's out there, and I'm like, so I'm like, this is great, and it actually reignited my whole drive to like, okay, when's this leg lock class? We have a leg lock class now, so I'm going to go to that as a student because you know what I mean. So I definitely understand where you're coming from. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's great, but I feel like so a lot of the stuff that I see you do, I can tell that mindset is what you put in all your business endeavors and everything that you're doing. I mean, you were talking about with the podcast studio and everything else that you've done. It's like you're trying all these things, and it's fun for you to do them. It doesn't seem like you care whether or not they stick. But it's fun for you to do them, and it looks like everything is working out. Working out well for you. So
some have not worked, and I've cut them. If things don't work, I cut them. I'm really, I guess, inspired would be the word by Gary Vaynerchuk, and I think that at some point when I was listening to him, I realized that he valued a lot of the same things that I valued. He thought about things the way I did, except he was smarter.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, let's see. I'm going to follow you then. I'm going to do it. I don't know what a fucking LinkedIn is, but I'm going to get one. I have one. It's not very active, but I have one if you Google it. And I'm like, all right, buddy. And since I've done that, that's how the social media kind of took off, because he tells you how to do it. He literally gives you the blueprints, and people are too to do it. I fucking hate lazy people.
Yeah.
Not really anything I hate more than someone who's lazy, because you're wasting what you have, and it just irritates the shit out of me. But that's what I also like to help people, because I'm like, hey, stop. Like, don't do this thing anymore, and you can have what you want. And the goals are always different, but it's always you want the goal that you don't have. So that I never meet people when they're happy. We had this conversation yesterday with a guy. I don't meet people when they're happy. I meet people when they're like, I'm fat, I'm ugly, I hate myself. Like, no one loves me. I'm like, okay, like, let's hone in on these. Like, let's be here, you know? But it's like no one ever comes in and they're like, I'm so happy to be here at first. You know, I don't meet people like that. When you come to the gym, or you need help with social media, or you need help with something, you're usually frustrated. Because if you could do it yourself, it would be easier.
Yeah.
So now you've tried it, it hasn't worked, and you're like, damn it didn't work. That's why I don't care about failure. Because it didn't work, stop doing it. Do something else. Or evaluate why it's not working and change it. Or do something else. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me for people to be stuck. And when I see people stuck, I'm like, no. Come on. Like, there's these people that are way smarter than me, and they've got behavior modification, and there's therapy out there, and there's things that can help people if they engage.
Yeah.
If they don't engage, they can't get anything. And that's one of the things I like about combat sports. If you're not willing to engage, you ain't getting any glory. If you're like, I don't want to go through there.
Yeah, like, I mean, there's probably a couple of fights out there. There's a couple of fights out there that people are frustrated watching. I hear you, yeah.
And it's hard, but what do you do in the moment? After they're like, oh my God, she rocked me. Usually I'm going for a takedown. You know, like, can I get my marbles back? You know, but it's like, where do you go? You know, like, where does your brain go? You can condition yourself. You can change yourself. And there's so much like sports therapy and sports psychology that's going on now, and like how to train yourself to focus in better and do things. I don't know why people don't use those sources. If I can find them, anyone can find. I had no schooling my entire life up until when I was like 26 and I went and got my GED. If I can find them, I promise they're out there. You know, like, it's just like how much you're willing to engage, and whether you have a growth mindset, in my opinion, or a fixed mindset. And it can change, and it can change again. But if you're like, I can't do that, I've never done it, you can't. You'll never do it because you can't.
It's true. You're right. It's funny that you say that, because that's one of the things that Vaynerchuk likes to say. Like, these things, I mean, you have a source of knowledge right in your, in your hands.
Like, I'm like, I don't. I look it up. If I don't remember it. I look it up. People are like, well, this muscle called. I'm like, I don't know. I could Google it for you. I have so much shit in my brain. Let me Google. Like, I have it right here. I can Google it for you, and then someone smarter than me has already written it. You know, like science somewhere wrote it. I don't have to make it up. I don't have to be like, oh, this is how you do a squat. Somebody already figured it out. Do the fucking formula. You know? Yeah.
So being obviously with what we just came out, where we're coming out of anyway. We're the different states. Your state's ahead of mine as far as getting somewhat back to normal. It must have been rough for you, this whole stay-at-home nonsense, right?
I think it depends on where you are. I do, and everybody's welcome to their own opinion. I don't judge. I do believe that it could be devastating. We've seen it devastate people, and it doesn't matter it doesn't matter how it got started. It matters what's happening. Yeah. So if there's thousands of people dying literally by the truckfuls, why wouldn't you shut down? Why wouldn't you stay at home? So it doesn't make sense to me as I consider myself a healthcare person, like a provider. Like, I'm providing people with ways to be healthy. You know? So it's like, for me, I don't understand why you wouldn't. And it's like the mask thing. Just wear the fucking mask.
Yeah.
Like, who cares? If it protects one person, it's worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right about that.
Mom or grandma or dad? No.
We actually had a ringside physician around the beginning of this, Dr. Lucas, if you want to go back and listen to that episode. But when we were done, talking about it and looking ahead and how can combat sports or martial arts and stuff like that move forward, one of the things we closed with was like, I mean, don't be a jerk. Wear the mask. I mean, you're not wearing it really for yourself. You're wearing it to be considerate of other people. You don't want to make someone's grandmom sick or whatever like that. So, yeah, no, I definitely agree with you on that one.
I'm gonna go back and listen to it.
Yeah, it's from a couple of weeks ago. I could send you the links for it later, so you're not searching all over, because there's a lot of rambling there, especially when Matt's on. Matt takes up a lot of airtime. So I'm just doing that to break his balls, because it was supposed to be us three, but like he was trying to do something like last minute. I said, dude, you're out. Go enjoy your camping trip. I was like, me and Shamir got it this week.
I'm gonna consider it a personal injury. He personally injured me. I'm so sad about it that he's not here. So I would go camping too. I would just take my laptop. I would probably still call you in the car. Like, no, go home.
Well, that was the thing when he was like, because it was actually him that wanted to do Friday, and then he's like, oh, I forgot they invited me camping. I'm like, dude, you've been locked up for 3 months. Go camping. Like, I get it. And I mean, if I got invited somewhere, I would probably say, hey, guess what? No podcast this week,
Right, because you haven't been anywhere. And really, I go to the gym, and I go to my house, and 2 other people's homes, which are my family.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I really haven't, if I've had to go in a store, the whole 9 yards, dude, Lysoled the shoes, cleaned everything, and people are like, oh, that's overkill. Maybe, but it also means that I can maybe not spread it anywhere. It's not going away. People are like, oh, it's going to go away. What about January to March next year?
Yeah, well, and then you got people like, I mean, I was talking about this earlier today, because I was actually, I mean, not to, I don't want to bring anything down, but like my gym got shut down 2 days ago, so I spent all day today moving stuff out. I'll be doing that this whole weekend, pretty much getting the.
It's not bringing it down. It's letting people know your gyms are failing because they can't be open. A lot of, I mean, there's no way you could be successful losing all of those memberships for 3 months.
Yeah.
Say that your customers were like, I'll still pay you. You're like, all right, like we'll still pay because we want to make sure we have a gym to come back to, right? It's still, you still didn't get anybody new.
Yeah.
So you didn't get anybody new for 3 months.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's, I feel for a lot of people. I'm actually going to buy jiu-jitsu mats from a school that closed down in Tennessee. And I hate it. He has 2 other gyms that he teaches at and he has gyms at, but it's like, it still sucks,
Yeah, it does.
It still sucks to do that, And I'm like, well, can I at least I can pay him for the mats.
Yeah.
I can help him. It wouldn't be hard to sell them, but it's like, at least I can help him out, and then share other programs. Like I share the other programs that are there. So people maybe go, followers there, like maybe somebody sees it, or at least he gets better metrics on, better things on social media if I tag him or share it, So a lot of things people can do to help their gyms is share those things on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and everywhere else, because you never know who's around. You never know who's going to go somewhere. Or maybe you see someone and you're like, well, I'll follow her. And then almost a year, or a little bit over a year later, we're on a podcast.
Yeah. But I mean, I brought that up because I was mentioning it earlier today in conversation as we were taking stuff out. Like, we were talking about the mask thing. I was like, man, there was this guy standing out there. I'm not trying to body shame or whatever, but it's aggravating when you see somebody that's standing out there. He's got the gloves and because you said somebody was saying that's overkill. But there's a guy, he had the mask off his face, around his neck. The gloves were crumpled up and stuffed in his pocket, and he's standing outside smoking a cigarette. And I was like, oh, but I was like, you're not worried about that other thing, but yeah, make sure you get your mask and gloves ready for when you go in the store. So it's funny. It's funny.
I'm drinking, I might not, somebody might be sitting there being like, fuck that chick, They're just drinking a White Claw, but it's like, you make your choices, and everyone has their vices. It could be nicotine. It could be whatever, really. Everyone has their vices, no matter if other people know about them. But the mask thing kills me. You cared enough, or somebody shamed you enough to wear one, which is still weird. But then you didn't even wear it. You
yeah.
Something that I've experienced here, and sometimes I'm like, is this what people think Tennessee's like? Like I'm like, please don't think this of us. Like this is not representing like all of us,
Yeah.
I'll be somewhere. Like I had to go into Kroger today, which is a grocery store, and I'm like, I don't want to go into Kroger. But I couldn't every time I would place a delivery order, they would be like, well, none of this food was in the store. Hardly any of the food was in the store. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So I just go in to get my stuff. And there's people with the mask down. And then there's people without mask asking you if it makes you feel safe. Or is that mask protecting you? And I'm like,
no, it's protecting you.
I'm just trying to buy some fucking groceries. But that's what makes me think. I'm like, is this what people think the South is like?
Yeah.
Don't act like that. But it's really weird. And there's this weird thing going on down here, and other cities I've seen where people are like, it's a government conspiracy and they're gonna put chips in us. Okay, if they did, either go live in the woods or get the fucking chip, I guess. I don't
yeah.
If they're gonna force you to, it's not like we can do anything about it anyway. So it doesn't make sense to me. Yeah. And I'm like, even if it's a government conspiracy, isn't that a better reason to wear a mask? And then I've gotten a good amount of hate mail for people wearing masks at my gym. And a good amount of people who are like, I would like to come to your gym because you're wearing face masks. Yeah. And everyone seems reasonably apart. And I'm like, yes. And everything's clean. And there's Clorox wipes everywhere. Like a lady called me today and she was like, you're the only gym I can find with pictures where there's cleaning supplies. I said, girl, if that makes you happy, go before COVID. They're still sitting there because we have stations sitting around the entire gym with Clorox wipes.
Yeah.
Or there's alcohol, like a spray alcohol peroxide mix that we buy from a company for people who a lot of people don't touch chemicals.
Yeah.
Like they don't touch Clorox. Like they don't use those products in their home. I'm not going to force you to use them in my gym.
Yeah.
So it does the same thing, Yeah,
I'm glad you brought that up because that's one of the reasons that I wanted you to come on the podcast was because you had put up a lot of pictures listing like all the stuff that you were doing to prepare to get back to business, and I liked it. I mean, before the situation with my gym happened, I said to Matt, I was like, I want to get her on there because not only am I interested, but I want to steal some of those ideas so we can use them over here.
I will totally give them to you, and luckily, we've gotten some hate for it, but I really think our city has done the best job that it could. With what we knew, what was provided, what we had, I really thought we did a good job, but most of those are from our health department, from our city, and I was really proud of our city. The mayor, Glenn Jacobs, is a good friend of mine, and I was really proud of him for pushing envelopes on opening back up and holding back to, like, today we got a red light on the phased reopening. Right? We can't go into I think we can't go into phase 2. I still have to watch it because I've been at work all day. So don't quote me on that. But it's like we got a red light. I don't know what that red light means, but I had to sign up to be a COVID coordinator for our business. I take that very seriously. Like other people, they fuck with me, but I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
When you walk in, we have you take your own temperature.
Yeah.
There's 2 thermometers. They both read internal temperatures. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you take your temperature. If you don't have a fever, you come in. Oh, you have to wash your hands too. So the bathrooms are right there. So you wash your hands, take your temperature, and then you come in. We have chemicals in there. We have non-chemicals in there so people can clean how they want to clean, and that's not from the health department. That's just something I did because of our members. We have at least 8 members who don't use chemicals in their home, and I know that. So why am I going to provide you with a product that you can't use or that you don't want to use? And you feel like that's not a fair option, like bring your own alcohol wipes. Like, come on, so I provide them because I appreciate them. And I appreciate no matter where you come from, you're trying to do the best for you. And that I appreciate that. So we try to have a good amount of those things. I mean, we have stations all around. I added 2 stations at COVID. The other stations were already there.
Mm-hmm.
We have high top tables sitting around, and they just have Clorox and hand sanitizer and the spray hand sanitizer stuff and Kleenexes and paper towels.
Nice.
That way, if you need any of those things, they're not more than 10 feet from you anywhere in the gym. So it helps them feel safe. It helps we clean it after after everyone leaves. We're open in the morning, afternoon, and evening.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as it closes, I spray the whole thing down, the whole thing, and clean everything, whether they cleaned it or not. My friend Gary, he actually owns a salon here in Knoxville called Salon Bellevue. And I went to get my hair done by Anessa. That's my hairstylist. And I went to get it done by her. And when I got there, they took my temperature. So a lot of businesses are not taking the temperatures.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not calling anybody out because that's not my business.
Yeah.
But I'm going to promote the people who I feel like are doing something good.
Yeah. I like that.
I take the temperature, and then he shows me these light bulbs that create ozone. And nothing can be living while it's in there. But it creates ozone. Nothing can live. Nothing can be living in there. But at night, he turns them on. He's got them in the vent fans. He's got them the whole salon. And I'm like, that is so smart. So I've bought these bulbs too. So when they come in, not only can I say everything's clean, but every night, not even like the insects like that are in the warehouse can live.
Oh,
right?
wow.
And I'm sorry about that. I like that. I do. But at the same time, I want to provide the cleanest atmosphere that I can. And my business partner's in on that too, because she's like, yeah, we need to be as safe as possible. And I take that responsibility very highly. I see a lot of gyms not wearing masks, and that's their choice. I respect that. I had a guy say that he wasn't going to come because we weren't wearing masks, and I was like, that's okay. I'll let you know when we can not wear them anymore. Like I'd love to help you, but I can't help you.
Yeah.
You don't want to wear a mask, which is totally cool. I have a good friend, a client that doesn't require a mask at her business. I love her. She's amazing. And she's a great business person. She's gotten flack for it and like against it. So it doesn't matter what side of the fence you're standing on, you're going to get flack. Just stand on one side of the fence.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, you're never going to win over everyone. So in anything you do, so you got to expect the haters and stuff to come. I mean, I'm sure with everything you've done, especially the stuff you've done online or whatever, like you said, you've gotten messages and people saying stuff when you're putting up what you're doing. So, but that's part of. I mean, some say that's part of success. If no one's hating you, you're not doing it right.
I don't mind it. You're still tuning in. I think about you all the time. I'm like, I don't think about you. What are you doing? Like, why are you thinking about me? Like,
that's actually
yourself, like, go the fuck on.
That's a great scene in I think it's like the first season of Mad Men where one of his coworkers, he's stuck in the elevator with him, and the guy's like, I hate you. And it's the main character that John Hamm plays, and he laughs and looks at him and he said, "That's funny. I don't think about you at all." Like that's his response.
I say people say that to me, and that's what my response is always. I'm like, I don't think about you. Like, I don't spend my time thinking about you. But if you're checking my page, that just helps my algorithms. Go ahead. Like every time I'll lose followers because like. I'll post something and I guess I didn't like it and I'm like, hi, because I appreciate them for not wanting to tune in. If you don't want to look at my page, don't. It's not for everybody, and that's okay. Like if people don't watch your podcast or listen to it or whatever, you're like, all right, because you're going to get the people who want to.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. I mean, actually, me and Matt, like we've had the discussion because sometimes the comments are on when people want to chime in that we flash them across the screen, but sometimes you get one or two people that come in and will say something stupid. And I actually I don't entertain it. Like I won't even. Matt will entertain it because he's easy to hook. But like me, I see it and I'm just like whatever. I'm not going to put it on the page. And when he addresses it, I only put it up for his own thing. But like you said, you got to roll with the punches and expect stuff like that. But speaking of rolling with punches, because we're coming towards the end of the podcast here, I know we were going to talk about this weekend's fights.
Yes.
I know you have been you've probably been watching what's going on. I mean, what do you think as far as how the UFC's handled returning to sports, and what are you excited about for this weekend?
I've seen people trying, wearing the mask, not going out, like not doing things on social media, not not projecting a bad image. And I've seen the UFC hold people accountable when they quarantine people when they have tested positive.
Yeah.
We have to figure out a way to still have sports and still have entertainment, even if it's just online.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we have to figure that out. We have live streaming capabilities. There's cameras. There's things that we can do. There's interactions that we can make that could make things fun. There's virtual reality that people haven't even touched.
Yeah.
If somebody's listening, remember it, right? I don't have money to do it, but I want one.
Yeah.
But it's like, if you could feel like you were in virtual reality, sitting on the side of a football field, sitting in the side of the cage, you're not watching from the bleachers. You're watching from where the medical teams are sitting.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it would be a better view. I think it would be better experience. A lot of the times I have to go back and watch fights. If I'm in person, I have to go back and watch the fights or watch them on the TV. Unless you have hundreds and thousands of dollars to sit that close.
Yeah.
So I think I think it could be good for MMA. I think it could be good for all sports to venture into streaming. A lot of people don't stream. So I think they've done a good job. I've seen people not wearing masks. I've seen people wearing masks. You're not going to be able to control it unless you make a hard stance. And that's for them to decide. But I appreciate the efforts that they've made. And some of those people don't get paid if they don't fight.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Those people got to eat too. And so when people are like, oh, they should have fights, you're taking food out of their mouth. And they're like, oh, they made money last month.
Yeah. Last month, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that as far as the fights go, I think the Shevchenko fight is really weird. I think Caitlin versus Shevchenko is really weird.
You're talking about that's on the prelims, isn't it?
Yeah. But it's one of the fights that I've been kind of like, that's interesting. Not that they shouldn't fight, but you go from fighting Shevchenko to fighting her sister. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. You're right. So that's the one that jumps out to you the most. I mean, they're really
number 13.
Yeah.
And maybe they're giving it to her as a makeup fight. Maybe they're giving her something that they think that she can get some confidence back and challenge again. I really like both ladies, but I like Caitlin a lot. And I think that she can do a lot of different things and we just haven't seen them yet, and I'm not sure why that is, but I see her train, I see her perform, and I'm like, this lady's great. And not that Shevchenko isn't, but in this fact, I found it kind of weird that they would give her specifically. And maybe it was because she was in the U.S., maybe it's because she was ready, maybe she had her blood work and they both agreed on it, and that's cool. I'm ready to watch it. But I thought that was kind of weird. At least that was your next fight from the last fight.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if a lot of these fights that are getting made, especially the fights on the undercard, not main events so much or co-main events, but these undercard fights, I wonder if just because the logistics work is why we're seeing them get made.
Yes.
I mean, obviously, the whole thing with Justin Gaethje, I mean, it worked out awesome for him. He was already kind of up there, and look at him now. He's the number one guy.
Not expect that. I will be the first to. I mean, you go back on my tweets and know that I didn't expect that. I like both. I like Justin and I like Tony. I did think it was kind of if Justin came out and did what he did, his game kind of. I think styles make fights. And that was not the best style for Tony Ferguson. I still think Ferguson beats Khabib. Yeah. People are like, oh, he didn't beat Justin, so he can't beat Khabib. They're two different people. Casual, out. Go to the next,
So what do you think about Dern and Cyphers? I actually wrote a piece for MMA News earlier today. Dern's pretty much saying she's going to use her jujitsu, but I feel like in the US, since she's got to the UFC, she's had a tougher time than she did in LFA. What's your opinion?
I mean, the step up in competition is there. LFA is a fantastic organization, but there's definitely a step up.
Mm-hmm.
And she just doesn't. She tries with her striking, but it's just not where her jujitsu is. And that's okay. She hasn't done it. You know what I'm saying? Like, she hasn't done it that long. So sometimes when people are rough on her, and I'm not necessarily a fan of her, but it's like she is out there trying to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, she's out there trying. Like, even if it's not that great sometimes stand-up wise, I'm like, she's still out there fucking trying. You know, and she's had a baby and all this other stuff. So I kind of like her just because she's trying.
Yeah.
And you can tell she's trying to get better. Every fight, I think she gets better. As far as Hannah Cyphers, I've been impressed with her the last 2 fights. And even in the Pollyanna fight, 3 fights ago. So she's kind of been on my radar just because I don't like a lot of straw weights sometimes. Just because it's kind of like watching the lower weight, lower level guys. I know I'll get some shit for this, but whatever, you know. So when there's straw weights that are exciting, I'm like, oh yeah, like, let's go, you know, and want to engage and want to fight. It makes it a lot better. But when she TKO'd Angela Hill, I thought that was a lot of like, just, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
You know, and I see that from Cyphers. I see this like, oh, okay, like, I got you. Like, I'm going to make it happen some way. Maybe, you know, even if I don't, I'm going to try my hardest. And in the Pollyanna fight, I mean, that was a rough fight for her, you know, but it's like, she still like kept going.
So,
you know, kept trying.
I got a question for you just because you mentioned the thing. So you don't like the strawweight class because you don't find them to be as like fast paced, like or.
Well, hold on. Watching at an amateur level, watching at a low level pro level, they're not my favorite.
Oh,
right?
okay.
Like UFC, once you get to Invicta, like once you get to those ladies are there to scrap. You know, and I like watching those ladies, but Cyphers specifically she's in it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I love Angela Hill, and to watch that fight, I was like, fuck yeah. I gained a lot of respect for her, and sometimes you just don't see that power in strawweight.
Okay. Yeah, I got you.
And maybe that was a little bit weird the way I said it, but high level is much different.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I agree.
But it's going to be a different game. I like to watch MMA because there's going to be a bunch of blood. Right? Like, I like to watch MMA because I'm going to like see people split open, and maybe we see some shin bones, and maybe we see some stuff. Like, that's why I watch MMA. And I understand that's not why everyone watches MMA, but that's why I do. And I think Hannah Cyphers brings that to the table. I appreciate that, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know what happens, because Mackenzie Dern is obviously out there trying to prove something to herself. I don't think she's trying to prove something to other people. I think she has the kind of athletic drive where she's like, I'm trying to prove this to myself, but so does Cyphers. So I'm kind of excited for that fight just to see how gritty it gets, you know, who's the better one at coming back from whatever the other one does. You know, like, I like the back and forth battles.
So one of the we actually had Billy Quarantero on this podcast. I wish I knew more about his opponent. Have you seen Spike Carlisle fight? Do you know anything about him that you could fill me in on?
I don't actually.
He's got a 9-1 record, but Billy, like I said, we've had him on the podcast, and I mean, he's definitely got he's a grinder. It's going to be hard for me to pick against him because I've seen a few of his fights, and he's an East Coast like you and me. So I tend to get a little bit sports crazy when it comes to location and stuff. I like to root for the more local guy. If that, then I kind of root for the person from the similar disciplines that I've trained in.
Yes, yeah.
So
I actually don't know either of these guys very much, which I appreciate because I know the UFC is trying to get more people. I want to learn more people.
Yeah, but I mean, you could check out the episode we had Billy on. It was just after. I think it was leading up to his Contender Series fight or after it, but he's a great competitor, and he's definitely got I mean, he's definitely, I think he might be the favorite for. I didn't look at the odds for him. And then obviously we have the co-main event and the main event. So I was a big World Series of Fighting guy, so I know a lot about Blagoy. It's hard for me to pick against Blagoy. He's not the most entertaining fighter, but I know he's definitely someone that's won a lot of decisions. I mean, he was a heavyweight champ over there, so I feel like anyone that held the title over at World Series of Fighting, like a la Justin Gaethje, Marlon Moraes, is going to be problems for anybody in the UFC.
I actually love WSOF. I like. I'm a fan of other promotions just because I want to see them grow.
Yeah, me too.
And I actually really like Ray Sifo.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime he's doing something, I'm like, okay, I'll watch it. I like his stance on the business. I like his stance on things. So watching him come in, I hope that he does well. It's kind of hard for me to pick against him too because I want him to succeed.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about his opponent.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen him fight before, but I've seen more from Blagoy to just I don't see him like I see it going to decision. I can see him winning by a decision. Really quick, your comment about Ray Sifo. I mean, PFL's on hold this year. I mean, would you if they like to rotate? I've covered since they used to be World Series of Fighting. For people that don't know, it used to be WSOF. They are now the PFL. They have the season format, and they rotate. Like it's not always the same weight classes and stuff. If they had a division for you to do a season in, would you be interested in jumping into something like that?
I have actually messaged him personally and been like, I want to fight for you.
Oh, nice.
I like you as a person. Like I want to fight. And I interviewed him a few years ago. On, oh my God, what was it called? Oh, I interviewed him for somebody that I was working for at the time, like writing freelance for, and I can't remember. MMA Insider, maybe? Somebody's going to get mad about this. so sorry, but I got to interview him and I was on the phone. I was like, oh my God. But I messaged him and I would love to fight for him. I have fought a lot of fights at 45. I'm not huge. I'm not a giant. I'm not an Amazon, I'm usually at least 4 or 5 inches shorter than the girl. I'm like, what up?
Yeah.
So it's like, I'd like to fight at bantamweight. If they did a bantamweight, I would tweet him enough times to be like, give me a chance.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, tag me in those. I'll push them too because, I know the folks over there at the PFL. I've covered a lot of their events. So if that happens, then I'll try and help your endeavor with that. Obviously, the main event's the one that's got everyone talking. I mean, I know I talked about Gilbert Burns is a resident of Florida. I've actually interviewed him a few times before. I speak to him. I've spoken to him about training stuff regularly. I know Woodley. I don't want to say he's been inactive. I know he after his loss, he went to Thailand, trained to kind of reinvent himself for this fight for a return. So I think it's going to be it's a tough fight, but I'm siding with Burns by decision only because he hasn't been away. He's been active, no injuries. I don't know, so I'm picking Burns by decision for the main event, but I obviously could be wrong.
I wish somebody would have told Tyron Woodley how to do PR a little bit better. I enjoy him as a fighter. He is a good fighter, and it seems like he doesn't enjoy the other aspects of it, fans, people, all that other stuff. I get it. Maybe that's why you don't like it. Like maybe you don't like doing stuff like that. And it's hard because I don't know where he comes from on it. I don't know the guy, but it's hard to watch kind of the the situation unfold for Tyrone Woodley over the years. So I am rooting for Burns just because he did go and try to reinvent himself. He had a hard fight last fight. Damian Maia isn't a fucking scrub.
No, he isn't.
And I think that he wants those fights. I kind of see that same determination.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know him personally. I don't interact with him or anything, but that's what I get from him.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So I'm rooting for him. I hope he pulls it off. I don't know how, I don't know where, but I'm like, I hope that he pulls it off. I don't wish bad on Woodley. I want whatever he did in Thailand to have worked for him. I think he's a great fighter, you know, and I think people like him. I think he's genuine. I think he engages with people. So hopefully he pulls it off. And there's no shame on Woodley. I mean, I just like the other guy.
Yeah. Well, like you said about you had to pick a side of the fence and stick to it. So that's what we're doing. I mean, it looks like you and I are both with Burns. But all right. I mean, I really do appreciate you doing this. I mean, again, I mean, from being guest to helping me co-host and pick the fights, that's been a lot of help. Especially normally we do Tuesday nights, but it's been a crazy week. Like I said, I had stuff going on, and it's a crazy time all over. But I do appreciate it. I like watching what you're doing. I like I said, I really do. I admire the hustle. So please plug all your stuff. Anything you got coming up, anything you want folks to know, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much for having me. I've loved networking with you. I've appreciated coming on the show. I was excited to come on as a guest, and I'm honored to be a co-host. So hopefully I did pretty good. Maybe people like, never have her on. Don't ever have me on again. But they're like, hey, people, bring her back. I'll come back. So the people can decide if they want it or not. I've had a great time. People can follow me on Twitter. I love the MMA community there. I love networking people with MMA and thoughts and just fitness and all sorts of stuff. So my name on there is actually Real Hella Kitty. That was my roller derby name. So somebody had Hella. Nobody calls me Hello Kitty. Don't call me Hella. Nobody, it's just kind of a play on words of Hello Kitty, because I didn't want to be like Battle Ready Betty. What if I wasn't good?
Yeah.
So I went with Hello Kitty. I went easy. So you can follow me there. On Instagram, it's a little bit easier. It's my first name, Shamir_WMA. So it's easy to follow me there. And from there, you can look at my link tree, and there's all the other aspects. I have a dog page. I have a gym page. I have a podcast page. I have all sorts of different pages that people can look at, and I'll share this on there as well. Anyone who wants to network and grow, I'm in. I mean, I think that we can only make our sport better. And I say ours because the people who promote it, like you and other people, it is yours too. You're out here doing the work to make sure people get interviewed.
Mm-hmm.
Interviewed a dude I didn't even know of. Like people have to have platforms to get bigger. No one can like you if they don't know you exist.
Yeah.
So thank you for helping MMA fighters be able to come on and talk about themselves and attract the fans that they can, and have that platform. So thank you guys again. But that's pretty much it for me. You guys can follow me. I do a lot of interactions on my story. As long as you message me things that are not inappropriate, I will respond to you.
Yeah, it makes sense, doesn't it? Again, the link tree. Her link tree is in the description here of this YouTube, the video version, and I will be sure to include it in the audio version once that gets out, probably by late tonight, tomorrow morning, because it's Friday before the UFC event in Vegas. But thank you again. No problem. Hopefully we'll tune in next week, and you don't have to wait for anyone to say whether or not you can come back or not. I've already greenlit it. You have an open invitation, so anytime you want to come back, by all means.
All right. Thank you so much. Bye, guys.
Take care. Bye.